Hello everybody, my name is Rage, and today I'm bringing you guys kind of a post-commentary here. Now, as you guys can tell, this is a Call of Duty Black Ops 2 video, and I know some people have been complaining a little bit. They're telling me, hey look, I love the idea behind your channel's originality, and the fact that you're not a complete COD person. Well, I couldn't agree more, but at the same time, I'd like to keep my channel a little bit more of a mixed variety. I play what I like, and honestly, I've been really enjoying some Call of Duty lately, and I've got some finer points I'd like to talk about, just kind of small tidbits, but I'll get into that later. One of the things I really want to talk about is a recent music festival that's coming up that I'm really excited for. I am going to a music festival in my city here called X Fest. Just got tickets for it today. And the lineup for this is simply amazing. If you enjoy music, kind of like alternative, rock, I guess just rock in general, maybe a little bit of indie, you'll absolutely just over it. Blink 182 is pretty much the headliner of the thing, and everybody's like, "Oh, Blink 182, that's gonna be awesome!" And it gets better. You got City and Color and Weezer, so that's one of the bigger headliners. And then it gets into some of the smaller bands, but they're also kind of reputable. That's why I'm stating them. You got Passion Pit in here, AWOL Nation, and Dan Mangan. And part of me is really holding out for Dan Mangan bringing one of his faithful, loving, ever so close bandmates with him. Rural Alberta Vantage, I absolutely adore them. But you know what? I can only hope. The Sheepdogs, who've made quite the name for themselves recently, Canadian band, grew up in Saskatchewan, got big there, and now all of a sudden they're known all over North America. I guess not super big, but they're getting up there. Mother Mother is going to be there, and I absolutely adore Mother Mother, but I feel some of the music could be a little hit or miss. Cold War Kids, Death from Above 1979, interesting name, but they're really good. And Capital Cities, who I'm pretty sure is a local band from my province, Alberta. I'm not 100% too sure on that. I think they are. Honestly, I couldn't really state specifically that they are or are not, if you know what I mean. Like, it's really hit or miss. I'd love to state that they are, but I don't want to give you guys information that's not. So anyways, I kind of figured with that I should share with you guys what kind of music I enjoy, because I am a very musically oriented person. I am all about music. I'm all about like patterns and whatnot. And even at work, if I see a pattern that's not working out, like color scheme, it will drive me absolutely nuts, and I will not be able to do my job to the full extent I should until I fix that small little blip in the air. So one of the main kind of genres I listen to would be classic rock. I absolutely love rock in general, but classic rock is one of my things. You know, bands like Led Zeppelin, Jimi Hendrix, the Beatles, all that jazz. Like, I guess you could say the Beatles are more classic pop, because they were pop at their time, but they are classic rock, and I absolutely adore them. So I thought I'd throw that in there. And then you get more like the alternative rock, and alternative rock is one of those sections where it's like rock, but it's kind of misplaced rock, so you don't know really what to put it. It's different, but it's not like mainstream. I guess you could say bands like Foo Fighters and Red Hot Chili Peppers are more of a mainstream kind of band now. You could say they're pop rock, but at the same time, deep down they are slightly an alternative rock band. Alice in Chains, Offspring, Billy Talent, you could all argue that most of those are kind of like a punk rock style band as well. But they do, I guess you could say, in a certain extent, fit into that genre of alternative rock. And then you get into indie rock, and of course, Rural Alberta Vantage, absolutely adore them. Dan Mangan, Sam Roberts, Tragically Hip. Pretty sure all those are Canadian, except for Sam Roberts. I don't know if he's from Ontario or not. He might be from New York. You never know. Get into a little bit of metal. I'm not a huge metal fan myself, but it's like the certain bands that I can really enjoy. Like Metallica, Iron Maiden, Megadeth. I hear those like thrasher metal bands. I enjoy them. Black Sabbath is really good. Mastodon, Disturbed, if you can consider Disturbed as a metal band. Avenged Sevenfold. I don't know if they're particularly metal or hard rock. It's kind of similar to a band like Tool or System of a Down. They're hard rock, but they're almost like a borderline style of metal. So it's kind of my interest. And then I get into like electronic music. I absolutely adore electronic music. So anything made from like Monster Cat, any of the producers or any of the artists that come out of Monster Cat, I've pretty much liked all of them. There's very few of them I didn't like, but you know what? You can't please everybody. Deadmau5, Skrillex, Daft Punk, like I'm really into that kind of stuff, and I feel it just rubs me the right way. I absolutely love it, and it just gets me in the partying kind of mood compared to something like excuse me. Oh god, I apologize. Rap, hip hop, R&B, country. That stuff just doesn't do it for me. I'm not a huge fan of it. So, with that said, I'd like to usher into the second thing I want to talk about: Call of Duty and first-person shooters in general, and some of the major problems I have with these games. So, one of the first problems I have with first-person shooters is people complain a lot. And we've all done it. We all get in a game and we all complain. So you'll get in a game, somebody's doing something, and you sit there and it's like, oh, that guy's lag switching, or that guy's cheating. He's got a mod. He's got a hack. Or you get into a game, you start doing bad. It looks like your connection's bad, and you start lagging. And you're like, oh my god, this lag is unbearable. I can't play because the lag is bad, or somebody's lag switching. It's like, people complain a lot about it. And then cheap tactics. And I guess cheap tactics would be something like a gun in a game like Black Ops, which can be considered overpowered. So let's say Black Ops 1, for example, with the FAMA. That gun was pretty strong. It was a little ridiculous at times. That gun could be considered overpowered, and everybody used it. Little ridiculous, a little cheap. But you know what? It's a viable strategy. It does work. But then you get into the idea of like a lack of sportsmanship in the game. So people aren't really courteous with each other. They don't say, oh yeah, good game, that was a good game. We did really good. You're doing good, Nice, Katie, impressive. You're inspiring me. People instead will just talk trash and just get mad at each other. And if you play anything like Hardcore Kill Confirmed like I'm playing right now, Hardcore has the function of team killing, and it happens in like every game. You'll walk up to something, you'll kill an enemy, somebody takes the tags, and that person gets gunned down because one person gets pissed. They're like, yo man, lay off my tags, blah 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 blah. I understand, you killed the enemy, you get the tags, but there's also that incentive, like the team collection or team confirmation, right? So you still get points in a sense, but not as much as you normally would. And people complain about that. It happens. There's nothing much you can do about it. But the biggest problem I have is stuff like just trolling in general. And I completely understand. Like, there's some days where you just get into a game. It's like, I intend to have fun, and I'm going to kind of troll, use the riot shield, kind of do something really silly or stupid, and that's understandable. Everybody does in any game they play. But the extent that some people do it, like, if you ask somebody to stop, be like, yo man, it's getting annoying, we're not appreciating it, you're kind of ruining the idea of teamwork amongst the team, we should kind of find some sort of way to phase that out. But people will still troll anyways. Did I walk right past an enemy? I'm sorry, I've got this kind of slightly sitting on the back, and I think I walked past an enemy. I don't know. But it's just like trolling. I can understand trolling can be fun sometimes, but other times it just ruins the sportsmanship of the game. And then from there, people taking things way too seriously and competition getting so extreme that you get into a game like you go 28-6. That's great. You did really well at that game. But the fact that you get in a lobby after it and you start trash talking people and you start sitting there thinking that your intelligence level is based completely off of your skill. So because you did better than somebody else, they're inferior to you, they're below you, they're not good, they're bad, they're not worth your time, you're better than them. No. That is just ridiculous. We should never get to the point where we take things that far. And, I seem that it happens in, like, any game. I can't specifically say it only happens in Call of Duty because, it happens in every game, even, like, Halo or Battlefield. Games, like, you always have people that do stuff like that. And I don't know how you can necessarily avoid it, but it happens, and there's not a whole lot you can do about it. I'm sorry. I got to kind of move a little bit here. The way I'm sitting is kind of awkward. But it gets to the point where, like, people even threaten each other. And they're like, oh, man, you're so bad. I'm going to come to your house. I just want to beat you up. You're so bad, kid. And blah, blah, blah. And we just name call. And it's so unbearable. And I'd love to say there's some way that we can resolve this. But it's a very difficult process because we need to be more sportsmanlike towards our fellow teammates and enemies. But at the same time, people will tell you, oh, okay, well, why don't you just mute the guy that's trolling you, right? He might be a jerk. He might be playing music. Why don't you mute him? I apologize for the snuffles here. But, you know what? You can't mute everybody because the game is based off of, like, teamwork. And there's that voice chat function in the game for a reason, You got to work together to some degree. And if I have to mute everybody in the game, there's no teamwork going on. I'm just playing by myself, right? If everybody's trolling me, maybe I'm trolling them. There's nothing going on there. There's no official teamwork per se. So I guess that's my kind of spiel on things I enjoy, but at the same time going on about problems I have with first-person shooters and whatnot. So until then, I'm going to conclude this here. I apologize for all the sniffles, the lack of breath, and all that stuff. I'm a little under the weather due to allergies, and oh god, it's just killing me because it's getting really rainy around here. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the next video.